What's up, Dolph fans? We are here inside the Baptist Health Studios, inside the Baptist Health Training Complex. I am Travis Wingfield, the host of the Drive Time Podcast, and I'm joined today by a very special guest today, Miami Dolphins fullback Alec Ingold. Alec, what's up, man?
It feels good to be back. We're rolling. Man, super cool to sit down here anytime I get to be able to be up here. So appreciate you having me.
And I saw you went back to your former elementary school. How much fun was that?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a crazy day. So the school district reached out and we put up we have elementary school, middle school, high school. We made like a little tour. So hit all the schools. Obviously got to go back to Suamico Elementary where everything started. And no, man, it was really cool to see teachers, to see faculty, to see these kids, be able to speak some inspiration in their lives. It's one of those full circle moments that you'll never forget, and it was definitely a lot of fun.
So Suamico, I'm glad you said it because I had it written down. I wasn't sure the pronunciation.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to take this the wrong way because I'm a huge fan of your spike after touchdowns. But I did see those dance moves you broke out. Any possibility that's a touchdown celebration next year?
I was hoping those dance moves stayed in Suamico. I was hoping those would not come out of Suamico.
In 2023, anything you do is going to be put online, just so you know. So any dancing is going to be out there. But so I had a chance to go through and watch a lot of that, and it was really cool. And I saw you had an interview talking about the book. And in the book, The 7 Crucibles by Alec Ingold, an inspirational game plan for overcoming adversity in your life. You described the injury in the kickoff chapter in the book, and kind of, that was sort of what kicked off the idea of the book, right? Was getting back from the ACL and essentially temporarily losing your ability to earn a livelihood. I can't imagine what that's like. And you talked about the emotional pain outweighing the physical pain in the book. Can you take us through what that means?
Yeah, I think in that moment, you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And that's something that I had to go through, and that was what was put on my plate, and it was my choice on how I was going to deal with it, how I was going to respond to that situation. So when you're covering a punt, you're a special teams captain, you're out there giving your all, you're ready for this big statement win that you're going to make. You get pulled off on a stretcher. That's not how it was planned, but that's how it went, and that's where you find a lot of grit, determination. That adversity is opportunity. I know Coach McDaniel talks about that all the time. That was the opportunity for myself to prove to other people how much they mean to me, what I was willing to go through, what I was willing to sacrifice to get back out on that field. And in that moment, I think a lot of people relate to that pain of not knowing what's on the other side or being told you're not getting that promotion. And whether that's life, business, athletics, academics, we all are afraid of those situations. And what I wanted to write down in that book is I was at the highest of highs. You talk about NFL football, I was at one of the peaks of my career that I was thinking it was going to happen. And in a snap of a fingers, you're in a valley. And to be able to say, okay, I know how to climb a mountain. I've been there. Let's not worry about it. Let's improve. Let's have this growth mindset. And let's use this as an opportunity to get better. That was everything. To be able to land on your feet here with an organization that supports you and a coaching staff that believes in you and coaches you to your potential, and a bunch of guys in the locker room that are willing to fight for one another every single Sunday, that gives you the courage to keep stepping and keep climbing and keep going.
I think a big part of that, obviously, the people in the locker room and the character to embrace that coaching and getting better. And this year, Coach McDaniel talked about how special that group was last season, and frankly, the majority of that core is back. So I think it pertains to this year as well. And I'd love to get a firsthand account of what makes that locker room so special.
I think it's the standard that we were willing to hold each other accountable to. So the standard is the standard, right? So standard is, it's a little bit more than a commitment to one another, right? A standard is something you're not going to waver from. Standard has been set, and everyone is going to meet that standard. And that was set in training camp. That's after a few months with Coach McDaniel. That's after a few months of just working hard and being with one another. That was all really special. And I feel like that's where we're going on this roller coaster. It might look like that on the outside, but in here there's a bunch of guys trying to grow, develop, work for one another, serve one another on that field. And that's what I think was special about it.
I heard you talking about Tua a little bit during Super Bowl week. I got to ask about the quarterback, talking about confidence, the way he carries himself in the locker room. You touched on that a little bit during Super Bowl week as well. Can you tell our Dolphins fans about him a little bit?
My favorite part about Tua is he's himself. And he's not trying to be anybody else. And that, number one, when he's on the field, is number one. It's awesome. And Tua off the field is a better human being than a quarterback throwing the ball. And it's really cool to be around a guy who's comfortable in his own skin, who's developing into whatever he's going to become, which is going to be fun to watch. I'm excited. I got a front row seat. I got my popcorn ready. It's going to be fun. But at the same time, it's cool to just man, sit back and watch a guy just be himself. And for Tua to have the confidence, the conviction in himself to be who he is around the guys, that's one of the coolest things. I love that about people when they're just comfortable being themselves.
I want to go back to the book, The 7 Crucibles here. Now, you've mentioned mindset a few times. It's one of the 7 crucibles. Well, it's grind set. A little bit of a shift there. I want to just touch on all of those: purpose, competition, grind set, support, leadership, discipline, perspective. Why are those 7 so important to you?
I think all those 7 things bring your goals, your ambition, your dreams to life. And I feel like character is really what sets your ceiling, your potential, not talent. I feel like talent is a floor that will get you into building places in the athletic world, but that character, who you are, the type of man, woman, human being that you are, I think that sets a standard for who you can become. And I feel like that really allows you to grow up into your potential. So being able to work on those 7 things, I think that's what's developing your character, raising your ceiling, and what you can accomplish.
Another message in your book, kind of going back to coach and the support system, is you talk about how everybody's going through something. Everybody has their own trials and tribulations, and your approach is that if you can own that, if you can be authentic and vulnerable with people that care about you, then you're going to get through it. And that word it really stuck out to me, Alec, the word vulnerable, because like 20 years ago, maybe even a decade ago, that was kind of a bad word in football, like something that you just didn't do, at least, for men especially. Don't be vulnerable. But now we see a lot more players talk about their struggles and bringing vulnerability to light. I'm curious where along the way you learned that in a sport that maybe it wasn't always embraced.
I think it was from watching veterans be vulnerable, watching coaches be vulnerable, just be real. Be themselves, be genuine. And I talked about, Tua being himself. And like that's something that I look up to in everyone I'm around. Like I love that about people. So when you're vulnerable, I think that just means that you're willing to share your fears with other people. You're willing to show flaws, to not be perfect for other people, for the betterment of the team. And I think that's where your real strength lies in, because, man, you're sitting around a group of guys and everyone's trying to be perfect. Everyone's worried about making a mistake. It's like, no, let's just be great. Let's do our best. Let's do our best for one another. Let's serve one another. All of a sudden, you get that team mindset. You get an identity. You have a culture. People can get brought into it. People can see that. All of a sudden, it just starts rolling. It starts dominating. It starts piling on. And it all starts from that vulnerable style of leadership and just being real and authentic.
So if year 1 was a learning experience, how can you apply those lessons in a beneficial way for year 2?
Yeah, there were uncomfortable moments. And that came from the experience. That came from our whole team coming together. But being comfortable, being uncomfortable, finding that limit where you're going to push yourself in a practice field, right? In OTAs, in your nutrition, in all these little things, all these daily deposits, all those little details, those margins we talk about. If you're uncomfortable because you are pushing yourself to the absolute limit in all of those spaces, and we can all do that, I feel like that's where you're going to be able to see that when the lights are on, you're comfortable. It's a scary word or a scary concept, but like if you're always uncomfortable, if you're always pushing it, you're always at the edge, you're always trying to chase more, you're always trying to serve one another and give that extra ounce of effort, that's a habit now. That's a routine. You're used to that, right? So now that's what you're going to do on Sundays. And so that's what I mean by being comfortable. It's like you're doing things you have been doing already. And that comes from the preparation. That comes from a second year being together. That comes from guys buying in with one another. And I feel like those margins, those details, that's what separates, especially in this game, in a game of inches. So, man, we're going to push ourselves, and this whole off season, we're going to be finding that limit. We're going to step past it. We're going to push all the way through, and we're going to keep ourselves accountable to that standard. So, really excited to see these guys and get back to it.
The smile says it all. You've got me fired up. I'm very excited for it. We're excited to have you here, man. We're lucky to have you here. The youth is lucky to have you as a role model. Again, the 7 Crucibles, an inspirational game plan for overcoming adversity in your life. Fullback Alec Ingold. Really enjoyed your time today, man. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
I appreciate the time. Let's go.